Hi, Erica. Good to see you today.
Hey, you too. How are you, Marie?
I'm doing really well. The weather is beautiful and yeah, it's just totally amazing. So I'm so glad to have you here. And
Thank
we already
you.
started chatting a little bit and some gold came out. So we hit the record button, right? And and
That's
we'll see
right.
what
Grab
happens.
it while you can get
Yeah,
it.
exactly. So Erica, I know you a little bit, but for everyone else that's watching, do you want to just tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah. My name is Erica Oresky, and I help people with I coach around behaviors and habits, and that is something that I've been into in the last year. It's actually recently.
Hmm.
I'm a mom of two boys and a bunch of animals, two cats, and then a murder of crows and a gaggle of squirrels, and I rehab, and I'm just a lover of nature and just earth, really. A grounding type spiritual person.
Yeah. Each time we talk,
And hippie.
yeah, each time we talk, a new animal comes up, right? It's like it's the squirrel, it's the dragonfly, it's the blue heron. It's, you have a very, very deep love for animals. That is
Yes, and then
clear
to
to me.
yeah, thank you. And then today I peered out the window and I was like, is that a snake? And I looked at it and I was like, I gotta go take a picture of it. And it was an alligator lizard. And I've never
Oh,
had that on my property. So yes, there is a new animal in my life or a reptile.
wow.
So yeah, I love them. Love
I
them
love,
all.
yeah, I know. And also the way you talk about animals, it's not like they're separate from you. You talk about them as they're very much part of you and very much part of nature, which I really totally
Yeah,
appreciate, right? Because sometimes
yeah,
we say like, "Oh, that's my dog," or like we take ownership of things, but you don't really do
yeah.
that. You just kind of, you let them be who they are and like inform your life, about like how should I interface with this new creature in my life. Just quite beautiful.
I don't know. I think it's the beauty of our world, right? It's just
Mm-hmm.
I think animals have always been near and dear to my heart since I was a child.
Yeah.
And when I used to run away and hide from things, that's where I would go out into nature and kind of sit with wildlife. And that's kind of been instilled in me
Mm-hmm.
from such a young age. And I still, that's like my peaceful place is like amongst some redwoods or ocean and just being one with whatever's flying around, whatever's walking around. And that's just the beauty in it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just being
Mm-hmm.
able to hold that in space. So
Yeah.
no, I love it.
I,
Except for my cats, they kind of own me.
yeah, exactly. That's a completely different relationship right there. I
We
have
won't
a
go
cat
there.
too. It's
I'm
like,
sure they'll visit. I'm sure they'll visit in a moment.
exactly. They'll come by when you least expect it and just their cats are such
What are you doing
innocent.
right now,
Yeah.
Mom?
Yeah. Crush. What do you call it? Like a
You'll
video
meet them
crush.
later.
Yeah, totally. That's so awesome. But
No, it's
I
funny.
am what you're talking about really totally reminds me of shamanism, that
Hmm.
that like deep connection with nature and deep connection with animals from not like other than perspective, like we just mentioned, but as you're saying, like you ran away from home to almost get home, you felt that that
Yeah,
connection with the animals was your true connection. And I
yeah,
think that's quite so beautiful. I just had a reflection, I think it was yesterday or the day before, that like, shamanism is the new yoga for me. Like, how
hmm,
everybody got into yoga and people thought it
yeah,
was weird and they were like, well, you're not even sweating while you're doing it, like in the beginning, right?
yeah,
And way back
yeah,
then. But shamanism now is like becoming quite popular again. And I think it's for the reason you just mentioned. It's like it's the wanting to come back home, wanting to connect with animals, wanting to connect with nature and really kind of, be with nature. And that's exactly what you described. Like you had that
yeah.
as a child and you just, you kept that the whole time, all the way to adulthood, which I think is that's fantastic.
Oh, thank you. And it's just,
Yeah.
I feel like it's a non-judgmental place, right? It's like
Yes.
they they don't look at you of like what color skin, eyes, hair, where you came from, politics, or to them, you're just a being,
Mm,
right?
hmm.
And the only way they're going to react is how you react. Um, and so when you come in peace, a lot of times you will be, welcomed in
Yeah,
peace with animals.
yeah,
It's just how you, I think how you handle yourself with them.
yeah,
And I think they just can really pick up on, they've got great intuition on
yeah,
behavior.
yeah.
I think they can look right through our souls,
Hmm. Oh,
right?
yes, absolutely they can. And something came to my mind, which is silly, but you know, when I'm in nature, it's like I'm coexisting with nature, right? So, for example, I go out into the forest, and if there's a lot of mosquitoes around, it tends to bother people, right? It's like, bzz, they're
Yeah,
biting them and all this stuff. To me, they don't really bite me that much. And I always used to say, "Oh, I'm not that interesting to them," or they don't like, I'm not warm-blooded enough, or whatever. Now I'm starting to
sweet-blooded.
realize, yeah. Now I'm starting to realize they're coexisting with me.
Yeah,
They're not really bothering me. Like the ticks are not really bothering me. All the like flying animals, they're not really bothering me the way they bother other people. It's almost like
yeah,
I'm just like harmoniously being there with them, you know?
yeah. It's
And
like the person that is allergic to bees, right? And they're
yes,
swatting at them. And I
yes,
feel like when you do that, you're attracting them
yeah,
even more, right? Just like a cat. People that can't stand cats and they come over and they
yeah,
act all weird.
yeah,
I'm going to tell you, my cats will sense you and come and try to lay on your lap and pet me. It's just like animals just know how
yeah,
to get to you,
yeah, they
right?
do.
Like
They
what
do.
bothers you. And
Yeah,
I think if you're coexisting and you're not showing
yeah,
any fear or strange behavior, they
yeah.
just look at you as one of their own or another creature that is walking the earth with them, right?
Really. Totally. And same thing with dogs. Like we have quite a big dog, and if people are afraid of dogs, he'll come right up to them, be right in their grill. It's almost like they want to trigger you, right? But if people just walk in and like, "Hey, what's going on?" then he's totally chill.
Yeah,
So it's like,
yeah,
and you know what? That's actually a perfect analogy on life, because anything that we're afraid of, it's just going to be like boo in our face, right? But everything
yeah,
else, if we're not afraid of something, it'll just be let us be. We're like chill with it, right?
yeah,
And
yeah.
and
It's
and but
true.
but animals reflect that back to us so sweetly. It's like, you're afraid? I'm gonna be right up in, and like your cats, right? I'm gonna lay down right on your lap if you
Yeah,
find me annoying, and then let's see if we can change that energy, right? So that's what
yeah.
they're trying to do. But we react as like, no, like I don't want you. I'm afraid of cats. I'm afraid of dogs, or whatever it might
Yeah,
be.
and I think your energy attracts the same energy. Like I can remember, going into work being completely stressed out and not being
Mm,
able to like, oh my God, I gotta, you know what I mean? Just being so
mm-hmm,
stressed out going into work,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
thinking the worst. And guess what? The
mm.
worst will happen.
Oh
It's
yeah,
like
I
it's
know.
just
I
it's
know.
like if you wake up, and that's where a lot of the reprogramming comes in, right?
Yeah.
If you wake up and you have this way of doing it other than grabbing your phone and thinking about your day and what's going to go wrong or what you have to do or your to-do list or whatever, that just puts you on a track to sabotage,
Mm-hmm.
right? Your entire day.
Yeah.
And that's when I think if you do some morning routines in a certain way, whether it's meditation, whether it's, sitting still, maybe it's gratitude. I believe that is where that sage comes in of that positive, and that is going to carry you through the day, and that's what you're going to attract, right?
Mm, 100%. Yeah. I have those days sometimes when I wake up and like my first initial feeling is like, no, I don't want to, right? No, like I can hear it in my head. Like it's a clear no, right? And then the whole day will be a no. Right? It's like it's just gonna repeat itself until like, can I please just
Yeah,
go to bed now? I really just want to
yeah.
go to bed.
Yeah, no, or if mine is if I drop something. Like if I sleep with earplugs and in
Mm,
the morning the first thing I do is I pull them out and I reach over and I put them in something. And
Mm.
if I drop them off and they fall to the ground, I go like this.
Oh.
Okay, we gotta just let them sit there. And then I literally move that aside and don't
Uh-huh.
even think about it. And I start all over. And I close my eyes, and that's where the gratitude comes in, right? And almost doing a quick reprogram because if I don't, I'm gonna be like, and then get out of bed, pick up the earplugs, throw them in the thing, and then pick up my phone, and then it's like I just lose track of everything, and that's where it just spirals, right? Yeah. So it's just like I gotta quick fix it.
Yeah, I hear you loud and clear because what I was going to get to too is what you've been saying a few times now, the reprogramming, right? It's like that becomes so crucial because we're not animals anymore. We can't just like shake it off like they do after they've done something. We have to like
Yeah.
actually reprogram ourselves. So like when I start with that no in my head in the morning, I just lay back down. I take a few couple deep breaths and gratitude, like you said, is usually the easiest emotion
Yeah.
to reach for, right? And you just start to thank, for everything that you have, like the sun and the air and whatever that might
Yeah.
be. And I also started a meditation routine now. So like that's the first thing I grab in the morning and then I meditate and then I just, start my day off that way. But it really
That's
becomes about
beautiful.
like retraining your mind because
Yeah.
we live in such a heavy soup of kind of undercurrent, of energies and so on, um that maybe we're not even totally aware of it most of the time, but it actually requires us like effort to do to for
Yeah.
it to be something different, right? Which is exactly what you're talking about. Your morning routine is your
Yeah.
effort, like changing the feeling of the day into something where you feel like you're comfortable with the day.
Yeah. And I think that's what drew me to like helping people with like habits and behaviors, right?
Mm,
Because like you in your what the title is, rewriting your story,
mm,
our story, you're also reprogramming, right? Everything as well. While you're rewriting, you're reprogramming, you're redoing your beliefs, and there's so much to that goes into that, right?
yeah.
To make those changes in what you want to become.
Mm.
But it is beautiful.
Yeah, it
It's
is. And I love when you say that. I had an astrology friend of mine on this podcast just a couple of weeks ago, and she was talking and I can't do her justice because she's really good with, all the planets and everything. But what she was
yeah.
saying is the astrological, alignments right now, the way the planets are all aligned and everything, she said it's not like we're starting a new chapter in our book and starting to write. It's as if we're taking the whole book of our previous, life, putting that aside
Hmm.
and starting to write a completely new book. That's what the astrology is talking
Yeah.
about right now. It's like it's a completely new thing, new human, new you, new everything.
New
So we're
chapter, new
yeah,
everything. Yeah.
yeah.
I,
So
I was I was listening to that too with the gal that Cassandra Butler, I think is her name.
mm,
She's also just extremely well with she does astrology 101 and she
mm,
does readings. She's an amazing woman and I the stuff that I get from her because I'm so new at astrology, right? What fascinates me is like, what is my horoscope, or what is the alignment, or the full moon, and what does that mean? That is what I like, right?
mm,
But she goes into depth about, and I'm sure your person does too, about
mm.
what's actually happening in our world right
Yeah.
now because of the alignment of the moon, the planets, right? And then what's to come when the next round, this next shift. And that's what I find fascinating. That is just like, she can go back in history, like she did the Pope. Like,
Oh
what
wow.
was his chart when he was born? What was his chart said he was going to be X, Y, and Z. And that's pretty much what he did is following the path, becoming a pope.
Mm,
Like it was just amazing. And
mm.
the day he passed away and where the planets were in alignment there. It was just so fascinating. You just bring history and the universe and it's
Yeah.
like just all beautiful, right?
Yeah, I know. I mean, astrology is like you said. I'm very much a novice. I know
Yeah.
I know certain things. I've learned things over the years by just kind of listening to amazing people. And
Yeah.
I've certainly learned that it affects our life in a big way, not in a like a predictive way, but in a way where it's giving you the blueprint and then you can work with that. Like you can decide if it's
Yeah.
be like somebody described it so beautifully. Either it can be like, the worst song you've ever heard on an off-tune instrument, or it could be a life where your song is like performed by a philharmonic orchestra and it's just like
Yeah. Yeah.
fantastic, right? But you still have that like blueprint of your life, and we do for the world and the universe as well, right? Like you just said, it's like
Yeah.
the world has like this influence of the planetary alignment, but that's why I think it's so appropriate with changing, reprogramming, rewriting, because it's happening like now,
Yeah.
you know?
That and I think that's what is, I think a lot of people that have never been really or have dove into spirituality
Mm,
are actually starting to look at it like, what's going on, right? Maybe that's their opening gate to learn more,
mm,
or just because there's so much talk about it, right? Before there really wasn't. It's like people will have their spiritual awakenings, or they were born like that, or they just have that path, or whatever it is, and then some people don't,
mhm.
right? And it's not like, I'm trying to think of an analogy. It's not like you're introduced to it, like, oh, like you have a friend. I've got this spiritual thing that I do, blah, 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 blah. And you're like, oh my God, what is that? There really isn't a lot of talk around that, right?
Somebody's
But
opening their
now
coat and they're like, "Could you choose?"
I'm going
I
to
think
Target
I will.
today. Would you like to join me? They've got a brand new section on spiritual awareness. Like it wasn't in our day-to-day language, right? And now there's so much like talk about it that people that aren't spiritual or never even thought about it are
Mm,
going,
mm,
what's that?
mm-hmm,
And oh, now's the time, like jumping on the bandwagon, like
mm,
just checking it out, which I
mm.
think is cool because they're going to see a whole nother side of life
Yeah,
if they
totally.
go that
Yeah.
direction, even if they just dip their toe in it, right? It's just like a little glimpse of what you could have or what could be in
Mm-hmm,
your life, and
mm-hmm.
it's just so grandioso. It's just so beautiful.
Yeah, I have so many reflections when you say that. I mean, the first reflection is like, well, that's why you're here, right? You're here to shine that light so that other people can
Yeah,
follow that. Yeah, and I think that, there's just so many of us here right now that have, for whatever reason, chosen this path to kind of show the way a little bit for somebody else.
yeah,
Other people have shown the way for us, so we're not special in any means. We're just as special as everyone else, yeah.
yeah,
But actually, enough people, like there's just so many people on Earth right now who have a certain level of awareness where before it used to be pretty uncommon, and but now it's becoming very, very uncommon. And there's also reasons why we're kind of waking up in waves, where it's like there's
yeah,
there's like a wave of waking up because then you have people next to you that are on the same kind of same same route and the same distance and whatnot. But also if we go back to our childhood, like you were saying with animals and so on, I had this very distinct feeling when I was a kid of like, why are people acting as if they're not missing anything? Like, why are people acting as if like, all these solidity, all these material things are the only thing that's around? Like, I would actually look at the adults and be like, what are you guys doing? Like,
yeah,
why are you not looking for the thing? You're supposed to look for the thing. And I didn't really understand what like the thing was, but I just had such a strong feeling that there is something else out here that I am supposed to search for. I'm supposed to look for
yeah,
something. And I had this kind of deep remembrance of, there's another reason why I'm here. I'm not just supposed to be a daughter and a sister and, a soccer player and a student in school. There's another
yeah,
thing for me. Yeah. So
yeah,
and I think as we started growing up, we started tapping into that, and we started realizing, hey, wait a minute, like that looks like the thing I'm looking for. You know? And we started,
Yeah, right?
and eventually we come back to ourselves, and it's like, oh, okay, it was me I was looking for, uh, but
Yeah.
so I think, we are the
I think
children.
as I grew up, like I had a hippie mama.
Ah,
So
awesome.
like it wasn't she was a very nature oriented, grounded person,
Mm,
right? And I
mm-hmm,
think that's what kind of led me into the whole just being one with nature, right? She was
mm-hmm.
very adamant about turning, if I turn over a rock, you better put it back because that's someone's home. She was very, there was no materialistic at all with her. We didn't have a lot of money. And like I said, I grew up in just a different than my surroundings. Let's put it that way. However, my grandparents had the best of everything.
Mm-hmm,
So I could do things with them as well and see, like it was almost looking at like two different worlds,
mm-hmm.
how I grew up.
Yeah.
And like how you said, like you saw what the things, what, but you weren't finding the thing
Mm-hmm,
until you got older, right? Where I kind of like looked at both things and I was like, yes, I love the materialistic stuff of, some of the beautiful things that my grandparents would do with me, right? Because I didn't
mm-hmm,
have it. But then I also loved the thing of the grounding and the bird watching and the rock climbing and being one with nature with my mom. So it was kind of like, but I've always been
mm-hmm,
like drawn to the
mm-hmm,
nature part,
mm-hmm.
right? So
Beautiful.
yeah, it's crazy how we grow up, how it shapes us,
Yeah,
right?
it is.
No,
Yeah.
it's crazy, and to have both of those different worlds
Yeah.
was it was good for me
Yeah.
to have that,
Yeah,
to
yeah,
tell
because
you the
then
truth.
you see both, that's, and then there's no
Yeah,
accident between anything, right? And my reflection on what you're saying is, we actually pick our bloodlines as well, right? To who our parents are. And it seems like you and I have a similar, because I chose a shaman mama, right? So my mother,
yeah, yeah,
um she at a very young age, she was very young when she had me, and in her 20s she started getting arthritis, right? And so she started searching for ways to cure herself, because medicine really, she very quickly figured out it couldn't help her. Yeah. So she
yeah,
started looking into like taking out the amalgam in her teeth, and cleansing her body and detoxing. And so I remember from a very young age, I went to like homeopaths, and there was like
mm-hmm,
one guy in, all of the area, and we would like drive there for a very long time to get there. I remember
yeah,
him, he was like walking around bare feet, and he was like this kookiest dude, right? And
yeah,
she would get there, and he would give her like these drops, and she would eat like sauerkraut and like all this stuff, right, to clean her body. So she spent so much time like trying to figure that whole thing out. And then basically her spirituality started taking off, right? And so
mm-hmm,
she's a shaman, she's a healer, she's, in her older age, she's done a lot of those things. And I think when I look back, I also start to realize that comes from my grandmother too, right? She has that
yeah, that's
kind of
beautiful.
intuitive sense, which I think it probably is for your line on your mother's side as well, right? It's almost like that like extra power is coming down through the bloodlines. We choose to
Yeah,
incarnate into that so that we can at least have a somewhat of an easier way to find our thing, than if we
yeah,
otherwise
yeah.
had not. Yeah.
No, I mean, both of my children, I will have to say, like, my mom passed away. She didn't get to meet my boys.
Ah.
But I have instilled, like, the blue heron back there. My son
Mm-hmm.
gave me that, and
Mm-hmm.
he has a tattoo of a blue heron. And that was like when we go bird watching, my mom and I, that was her favorite bird. And
Um,
so I always told stories to my kids about my mother and her love of animals and how she rehabbed and then I rehabbed with them. And their love for animals and nature is just absolutely beautiful. Like it's following, it's that it's they're just going to keep doing, right? What I was doing, what my mom was doing,
Mhm.
what her mom was doing,
Yeah.
and carry on those beautiful traditions.
Yeah, 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 I agree. I don't think I wouldn't know what to do with myself without nature. Quite honestly. It's my
You're
soulmate.
you and me both, trust me. Like there's been times where I've had to, when I was working in a corporate world
Yeah.
and having to go and do conferences, and I would be in, a beautiful area, but stuck in a conference room, right? Selling software
Hmm.
for all day. We're talking like 12 hours, and then we'd have to have, cocktails and mingle, and all they'd have these beautiful bay windows, and I would literally look out and just go, oh my gosh, like
You're like,
it was just it was like almost when people would go, like they come out and I'd talk to them and market my software, but as soon as they left and they went back into their conference room, it was almost I would turn to the window and just like almost just like pretend I was outside. And just because I could see the beauty, just try to sit there and feel it through the
hmm
window because I
hmm
couldn't leave. So
Yeah.
yeah, I could, and that's one thing I love about the internet is there's so many people that, they don't have the ability to get out and go for walks or be in nature,
Mhm.
or they live in cities, or they just, maybe it's poverty, maybe it's the place that they live, but it's like they don't get to see like what you have in your backyard, and to be able to provide that. And I think you do some of the same things I do. I do reels on my hikes of nature, and
hmm
I throw in like almost panoramic, like real view motion live, and then I'll throw a quote with some music in. And I feel like that is such a beautiful way to relate to people on the internet, for people that can't
hmm
have the ability to see and be in nature like
hmm
us.
Absolutely. Yeah, I
And
agree.
that's one thing I think is just so powerful to be
Yeah.
able to share that.
Yeah, and there are times in our lives, like you said, where we don't really have access to at least what I
No.
consider to be nature. Like I lived in New York City for about 10 years, and finally, nature called me home. It was like my yearning would be stronger and stronger each year, and be like,
Yeah.
what you see here, yeah, there's some trees and stuff, but it's not like the essence of and eventually like I just kept on dreaming. I just kept on like seeing, the ocean, like, far away distance. I kept seeing like uh, forest and, hiking, and like it just kept on like
Yes.
calling me home. It's really the only way to express it. Like you need to come home now, you need to come back to us, right? And
No,
and I think
I agree.
yeah, yeah. It's so for me it's so it has a lot of different things. It has this very potent energy, it's like pulsating with energy. And then it also has this healing capability. It's constantly like healing and regenerating itself, right?
Yeah.
And then it's constantly also communicating. It's constantly
Yeah.
like sharing information and updating, and it's just like this richness of nature. Yeah. When
You
you
can
start
learn so much from nature. And they
to
say
learn so
what
much.
nature is the best medicine, right?
Yeah, it is.
Like the forest bathing, there's so much that goes into, like they call, when people's like, oh, that person's a tree hugger, but you can get so much out of hugging and
Oh.
feeling and touching and listening to the trees
Mhm.
and listening to the wind,
Mhm.
and it just takes you in another world,
Mhm.
and it takes you away from maybe whatever pain is going on in your system of self, and it's just a beautiful thing to be able to sit and just put your hands on the earth, or like I do in the morning, I stand barefooted, whether it's wintertime or summertime, on the ground with my feet in the dew or the wet or the whatever, the dirt, and just literally just like feel that energy that's coming through, and that's what grounds me.
Mhm.
And it's just like, I don't know, it's just there's really no words to describe it. It's just a
Yeah.
great feeling. And that's where I wish, we talked about like back to basics. That
Mm,
is like not like just basics like before cell phone, but like almost like our ancestors, right? Where that's what they lived off the earth. And that's how the medicine man and woman and how they made their clothes and what they ate. It's just
mm-hmm.
beautiful.
Yeah.
And that's where I think a lot of us are just, this world is missing
Mm-hmm.
that aspect in
Yeah.
life.
And also what comes up for me is like that honoring, the honoring of like
Hmm.
when you're eating something, you're honoring that food, it's you're
Oh
grateful
yeah.
when you're interfacing with something, you're just like it's a sacred relationship.
Yeah.
It's not just an act, it's a sacred act that you have when you
Yeah.
connect to nature. And I think our ancestors, they understood a lot of things that like science is trying to tell us again. So for example, like we hear about the quantum field and quantum physics and so on. And way back when, the medicine men and women, they knew about the 0 point field. They knew because that's where they
Yeah.
entered into figuring out what's the weather going to be like, where's the next buffalo herd coming through, where do we need to move for the winter, how do I heal this sick person next to me, right? They would use all kinds of different things like medicine, rattles, drums. All it really does, it takes you back into the 0 point field, right? And
Yeah.
that's when
Yeah.
they could download and upload information to everything. So,
I think Avatar, when Avatar came out, I
oh
was just
yeah,
like, thank goodness they
yeah,
have a movie that shows in a way that is so basic yet profound of how these people worshiped the Mother Earth,
mm.
right? And like the tree of
And they had
life
the
and
tree.
right? And how the animals, how they communicated with the animals and
Yes.
how they became one with them and in the cycle of life and like you said, to eat an animal. It was like a prayer, it was like a sacrifice, it was a showing gratitude towards that animal for saving your life. It's just when that came out, I remember sitting in the theater like in tears going, there's finally something that that I love so much that is being projected to all our little people
Yeah,
and such a powerful movie for all ages, right?
I know.
And I'm like, gosh, I hope somebody learns something from this.
Yes, I know. And in that movie too, that tree is amazing, right? You
Oh,
have the root structure, which is like we have the root
it's
chakra, right?
gorgeous.
Then
Hmm.
you have the foliage, which is like the crown. So think about
Yeah,
that. That's your crown, They have
yeah,
the crown, and then they have the connection in between, which is like the heart chakra. And so in the tree, you can actually find the same pieces that you can find within us. It's like,
yeah,
of course, right? But
yeah.
it's
They did a
almost
great
like
job writing it.
yeah, yeah, and it's so amazing how and also they put the person under there to heal and and see if the right.
Yeah, yeah, that was beautiful in itself. I mean,
Yeah.
that was just amazing. And
Mm-hmm.
like I said, that is probably one of my all-time favorite movies,
Mm-hmm.
just because it's showing the world
Mm-hmm.
like that's kind of like it is.
Now I have to go back and rewatch it. It's been such a long time. I remember loving
Get your
it.
popcorn out, like
Yeah,
5 bags, because I think it's like 3 hours long or something like that.
I know, and
And
I
then
have
there's the other one, it's the underwater one, and I haven't seen that
me
one yet.
neither, me
So
neither. Yeah, so maybe
I'd like to see that too.
yeah, because also you can see a movie from different levels, right? And
Oh yeah.
as you evolve, you start to see more things. So I'm very curious to
Yeah.
actually watch it again and be like, oh, okay, look at that. That's an interesting symbology. Yeah.
And especially with our day and age now, like with the
Mm.
fighting and everything, right? Look
Mm-hmm.
at what
Mm-hmm.
was happening in that movie with the
Yeah.
war against land and,
Yes.
wanting to build and, government and hire. And it's just like, whew, if I probably watched that now, I would look at it with a different perspective of where we are now in our
Yeah,
life.
yeah, exactly.
So yeah, because we didn't have a lot of that going on. I think
Yeah.
what was happening in my mind was like the taking down our forests, like our rainforests, when that was being produced, like the stuff that is going into our peanut butter and just everything where I'm like, oh, that's coming from our rainforest? Really? I didn't know that. And then watching that film, it was just like, ush, that's kind of what I was thinking. But now, with everything this day and age, years
Mhm.
later, there's so much more to that movie with
Yeah.
what's going on.
Yeah, and like you said, the basic message of like fully honoring, fully being connected with Earth versus
Yeah,
thinking, oh, how can I use this to my best advantage? Oh, let's cut it all down, because then I can do whatever to it. And I want
yeah,
this land and I'm gonna scrape this land and God knows what else we're doing, right? It's just
yeah,
amazing how we just exploit, that word in itself like tells you that you're
yeah,
completely out of alignment with everything. You're just
yeah,
you forgot how divine your connection is to nature and how powerful it's essentially like we can't live without each other, and yet we pretend like, oh, if I take advantage of all this, I'll put a bunch of like paper things in my pocket and I'll have a lot of abundance, but like that's not abundance, right?
yeah. I think there was more appreciation. Like if you go back when we were talking about the medicine, like the tribal, right? It's
Hmm.
like there was so much appreciation for the Mother Earth because that's where they were getting
Hmm.
everything, right?
Hmm.
That their medicine, their healing.
Yeah.
Um, and now we're so disconnected on
Hmm.
so many different levels
Hmm.
that nobody's looking at Mother Earth. It's like, oh my gosh, my phone's not working fast enough. Oh my gosh, blah, blah, blah. Or what's going on with the Wi-Fi? Or you're just so lost in, like the CEO and everything at the Coldplay thing,
Yeah.
that just took over social media when
Yeah.
I was just like, everyone's like, did you see all the videos? I'm like, no, I'm outside. Like, I just went for a big, beautiful hike. And they're like, oh my gosh, you should see all the memes. And I'm like, oh, like,
Not
that's
really
probably overrated
interesting.
for me. Like, I don't need to know.
I
I don't need to
know.
like.
I know. Isn't
So
that
there's no
fantastic?
there's no appreciation, right? There's
No.
just no appreciation towards our Mother Earth at all because we are like nobody's looking at her.
Hmm.
The only time we're looking at her is when she's destroying us with hurricanes and tornadoes and earthquakes. And who knows, maybe she's trying to shake us up to say, look at me.
It certainly
Look at
is.
what you're doing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You
Well,
know,
she's
maybe
she's
that's,
going through her upgrade as well, She's
yeah, yeah,
she's part of this whole awakening movement, and she's coming back in a big way. So obviously, yeah, that those are all part of like
yeah,
her shaking off all of her trauma as well, because so I think that as you said, we're distracted, but it's a double-edged sword. It's kind of like if things get bad enough, if we get distracted enough, then eventually we start to shift tracks. So everything is kind of like it can be both. It
yeah,
really can be both. And also the social media can be used to like you had said, share beautiful messages of
yes,
peacefulness and love and so on, and reconnecting to that like feminine
yes,
energy. And it could also be used to show a bunch of like blah blah distractions, Hollywood celebrities and whatever else, right? So
yeah.
it's kind of like it's both. And I'm very much like you, like I'm always distracted by nature, so I don't really pay attention to all of the. I find out much later when things are happening because people tell me, yeah. But
I just
um,
rely on my husband because he's
ah,
uh he's a
mm,
TikTok wonder all day
mm-hmm,
long.
mm-hmm, okay,
Not
yeah,
all day, but
yeah.
he's into that and it's like I can't really say anything because I have a TikTok channel. But everybody, my channels are like all on mental health and positivity and
And
helping people.
habit breaking and yeah, yeah, exactly.
Well, if that's how you're gonna find, like if you're out there, that's where I gotta market, right? That's where I gotta like that's where I have to be for the
Mhm.
people that are hurting, that are suffering in silence. Those are the people that are scrolling at night. They're in pain and suffering, trying to find some help. They're
Yeah.
not like picking up a phone and calling someone. So for me, it's like that is the outlet that I do have to be
Mhm.
to reach the people that I need to connect with,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Like you said, it can go both ways. It can, and just like that movie, remember we talked about Avatar?
Yeah.
What about the what about the movie? What was it, Wall-E?
Mm.
Or where
Hmm.
everybody like trashed our world and
Yeah.
they were drinking supersized shakes and fries, and
And they
then
couldn't even
they
walk.
were like they couldn't walk and they're on these things on a ship, and I'm like, what is that? Like that is like kind of freaking me out. That movie stressed me out. Like that could actually happen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm all, change the channel back to Avatar, please.
Yeah. You
Or
know.
maybe that's a scare tactic. Like to show people like, yeah,
Yeah.
look it.
Uh-huh.
Maybe this is the direction we're moving in.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know.
It's
Go
amazing
Disney.
how Hollywood and Disney, everything is it's like reflecting back to us our deepest nightmare and our ho biggest hopes, it's really
Yeah.
quite interesting. But for me personally, which I didn't understand this for the longest time, I was like, that doesn't make any sense. But for me, I adapted this like, is this making me happy or peaceful or not? Right? And I do that with everything. I do that with my thought patterns. I do that with my emotions. I do that with Instagram reels. I do it with, everything, news.
Yeah.
If I turn on something and I start to feel that stirring, then I just immediately disconnect from it. And I'm just like, this is not what I want to be part of my reality. I want something else to be part of my reality. I want things to be uplifting. I want to be, happy. I want to be peaceful. And before I kind of thought, oh, it's people are delirious. They're spiritually bypassing, right? They're going through life like this and pretending not to see things. But then I started realizing through the help of many other teachers that your internal state of being is the absolute most important thing because you are the one who's creating this reality. So if you have
Yeah.
wounding in you, if you have trauma in you, if you're constantly scrolling and being aware and scared of the next war, scared of the next whatever it might be, you're actually contributing to it.
Oh
So
yeah. I
when we
agree
start to look at
100%.
when we start to look at our shadows and what you're talking about your habits and helping people with that, that's when we start to see that we have exactly the same thing on the inside that we see on the outside. So
Yeah.
we're actually actively creating it when we don't take care of this inside of here, you know?
Yeah. I have so many friends that are addicted to like drama shows. And it's
Mm,
just like the housewives of whatever,
right.
New York City or
Yeah.
whatnot. I'm just using that as an
Yeah, yeah,
example, but
yeah.
it's like they're always bickering and fighting and drinking and this and that and hate and oh my God. And it's just like, and then she calls me, she's like, oh my God, I'm like so stressed out watching this. I'm like, why are you like, did you not get enough stress at work? Because you call me on your way home from work and you're stressed out. She's finally quit her job, but it's just like, it's almost like you're addicted to that chaos, right? If you're not getting enough here, you're turning on the channel
Yeah.
to absorb even more of
Hmm.
somebody else's.
Yeah.
And it's still doing the same thing. It's still causing that uneasiness and that anxiety inside of us. And we don't even know. And
Yeah.
that's where I love what you said, because when you start feeling that, whether you're looking at an Instagram or a show, and you start feeling that, that is like you're so in tune, you're so aware of how you're feeling, right? And that's where a lot of people are not, whether it's a habit, maybe they're drinking, maybe, like you said, they've got their own traumatic experiences that they're shoving down and they just want to escape.
Hmm.
People can escape in so many ways. Like
Oh,
it
yeah.
doesn't need to be drugs and alcohol. It can be scrolling, it can be shopping, it could be drama, it could be, you know, being afraid of living life
Yeah.
because it's just there's so much.
Yeah.
Hashtag because human.
Yeah, totally. Exactly.
It's very
Because
human.
very good, because we all have it, right? It's not like
Yeah. Yeah.
one of us is like, oh, I don't have any trauma. It's like, yes, you do, just
Yeah.
being here,
Oh
right?
my
So,
gosh. Those are usually probably like the ones that probably have most, but they're like, I don't have anything. I'm
mm,
like, you have nothing.
mm-hmm,
Come on. You've
mm-hmm,
got something. I call it
mm-hmm.
shed your shit. You've got some shit to shed. Like whatever it is. Like I don't know what it is, but you've got something. No, no,
Yeah,
I'm fine. I'm
yeah,
perfectly fine.
yeah.
As her eyes are turning brown.
That I'm fine or I'm okay. It's like just it's like I don't know what you're even saying, like that means nothing, It's like that's
No.
like a covering up, your unease or something. But and even I love when you speak about our addictions, and even what I've realized lately, which is maybe obvious to you, is that we even have addictions to our own patterning. What I mean is we have addictions to our emotions and we have addictions to our thoughts. So, for example, when we feel it's almost like we have this internal balanced level of where we feel comfortable, and that
Yeah.
includes a certain set of emotions and a certain set of thought patterns that we like to swim in. And if we swim too far out from there, it'll quickly like kind of come back to that same equilibrium because we feel comfortable in those emotions, in those thoughts, right? And so
Yeah.
that's kind of the basic level of like, how should I describe it? it we're comfortable with a certain set of emotions that are causing a certain set of chemical reactions in our body and in our brain,
Yeah.
right? And we keep on going back to it. And whether it's that, what you were talking about, the housewives, or if it's alcohol, or if it's coffee, or if it's sugar, or if it's bad relationships or smoking, whatever it is, those are just cover up addictions for our
Yeah.
addiction to our own emotional field, right? And
Yeah.
so breaking that addiction from your emotions and from your thoughts is actually like the number one thing that you want to focus on. That's at
No,
least what I
I
realized.
agree. There's actually a tactic. It's called living on the edge of chaos.
Mm,
And so say you have like a box, right?
mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm.
or say you're a bird and you're a little baby bird on a branch, right?
Yep.
And that little baby bird sits there and sits there until it learns how to fly.
Mm,
And like each day it goes like it keeps going to the edge of the branch, right? Beep, 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 and then it jumps back because that is where it's comfortable. There's no growth. Nothing is going to happen until that baby bird takes flight
mm,
and learns to fly. And that's where the growth comes in. But that's like it's living on the edge of chaos to where you keep moving and you keep moving and you keep moving in that direction. Addiction is one of them, right? Like I don't take away the behavior, I let them do the behavior. We talk about what's causing the behavior, and that will literally shift automatically the behavior of whatever you're doing because they're getting comfortable about creating new habits,
mm-hmm,
getting comfortable being uncomfortable. And that's where the flight takes off. And it's a beautiful tactic to use on so many different things. Not just addiction, just like you said, anything.
mm-hmm,
Like just getting out of your comfort zone, out of patterns, our beliefs, our
mm-hmm,
beliefs, our beliefs. We've had these beliefs since we were like layers of layers since we were a child, right? And it's just like as an adult, we're like pulling them off and shedding those layers like an onion to be like this beautiful flower. And it's
mm-hmm,
just, but it takes a lot of work, right? But those are the patterns that we've got to understand that we don't even know our true selves because we've been covered in this, that our beliefs are subconscious. And that's the power. That's where the power comes in.
mm-hmm.
Like
I
I
love
just
how you
that's
describe
like
that.
magical.
Yeah. I love how you describe that. That's just so beautiful. Like you're basically pushing yourself through the uncomfortability. And I agree with you
Yeah.
100%. You're never going to break a habit until you're aware and conscious enough of the underlying problem. And
Yeah.
then it actually, once you start to work with that, it disappears on its own. Like there's no
Yeah.
effort in breaking a habit when you start to, like you said, slowly move out on that branch, slowly get
Yep.
closer and closer to what you're actually afraid of, and then facing that fear, and then the habit is going to start to fall on its own. It just boom, it's
Yeah.
like it's no longer needed. So you don't even have to fight against it or fight to
Yeah.
create something new. It kind of almost magically happens on its own.
Yeah. It's
You're
like
ready. It's like you're
reprogramming your
ready to fly.
subconscious, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And I think that's what it boils down to is reprogramming your subconscious of
Hmm.
everything that you've known is probably BS,
Hmm.
like a lot of it,
Mm.
until you challenge it.
Yeah.
And that is where becoming uncomfortable comes in.
Hmm.
And a lot of people just it's very hard to be uncomfortable.
Very, very hard. Yeah.
Yeah. When was the last time you were uncomfortable? I think you've done some things you've given up, like would you say coffee or it's like it's not easy.
No, I'm I was gonna say something interesting, but I was gonna say I'm uncomfortable
It's your
all the time.
podcast.
No, no, I was gonna say I'm uncomfortable all the time. What I mean is I,
Am I
I
making you uncomfortable? Telling
yeah,
you to be
no.
uncomfortable?
What I mean is that like how when you start facing your fears and you start to realize that oh there was really nothing behind it, right, then you're okay with
Yeah.
facing something else, facing something else, facing something else, so you're constantly like putting yourself in a situation where you're not really uncomfortable and where you're not really comfortable, and I'm the type of person I won't like just send dip my toes in the water to see like is the water temperature okay. No, I'll do like a cannonball into the water and be in there. I'm like, oh shit, it's cold, But now I'm already here. So
So you're the bird that jumps off the branch.
yeah, yeah. Without even knowing how to fly. Be like, wow. Oh, wait, wait. I can't. So
So all or nothing personality, right?
yeah, yeah, for sure. But and I've used that tactic many times in my life. For example, I was like terrified of public speaking, like absolutely
Mhm.
terrified, like most of us are. And then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna get a gig where I'm gonna talk in front of people. So I got this gig where I was lecturing in front of people 8 hours a day, a whole
Oh my
day,
gosh.
talking about, this sustainability program essentially for other people in the area in the field. And first time it was absolutely terrifying and awful, and I was sweating bullets. It was the worst day of my life. Yeah. Second time,
Yeah, yeah.
not so bad. Third time, yeah, I'm getting the hang on this. Eventually, you know what happened? I started loving it. I started
Oh,
loving being in front of people. I did this for a whole year and a half, and I started loving talking to people, presenting ideas to them, taking their questions, like doing all these things, only because I forced myself to face that fear of being in front of 100 people talking about something.
but it's also connection, right?
Yeah,
That connection is huge. And,
yeah,
that is where like if I look at what's wrong with today's society,
yeah,
and we were talking about me helping kids, the
yeah,
connection. Like
yeah.
you can love someone like and that's like if you look like a husband and wife you can
Mm,
love 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 and then you look at the divorce it's usually because they don't it's not that they fell out of love
mm,
it's because they've lost their connection
yeah.
and nowadays you see it so much so I
Mm,
think with you
mm,
being in front of people
mm.
and I think did you say you're kind of an introvert
Yeah, big
is
time.
was that you?
Hmm.
And then so maybe you don't get a lot of connection, but that you found your channel to
Hmm.
be able to be an extrovert and feel that connection, and it feels good.
Yeah, it does.
Maybe not at first,
No,
but that's
no,
kind of what lights your fire, And
totally.
then you can go back to reading your book or like being back into you know
Exactly.
what I mean? It's
Yeah,
like a
I know.
it's a good channel to have.
It is. And I also look at our fears as our signposts, It's like when we
Hmm.
have a fear of something, the more terrifying it seems, it's actually a signpost for us to walk in that direction. Like we're supposed
Yeah,
to walk in that direction, figuring out how to be incredibly uncomfortable, and still doing it. And
yeah.
everybody doesn't have to do cannonballs like I do. You can be like my husband who takes like half an hour to get into the water, right? Everything is fine. Yeah. And it's
No
true.
cold plunge for him.
I'm not making this up. It's true. And so we're very different that way, but we get to dip in the water. It doesn't matter, right? We still get there.
Yeah,
It's like the end result. And I'm the
you
same
do
way.
you.
What?
You do you. You
You
do
do
it your
you.
way.
Exactly. But it's the same thing with fear. You don't have to do the cannonball, and I don't either sometimes. I do the dip in the water and slowly walk in there also. But the
Yeah.
key is you can't stop. You have to keep on pushing through that fear because on the other side of the fear is like the greatest gift ever, right? It's
Yeah.
the most beautiful thing. And you just released a huge chunk that was preventing you from maybe doing a bunch of other things.
Yeah. And that is actually being, I think I posted something the other, I think it was on Friday. Like, what are you doing this weekend to get out of your comfort zone?
Mm,
What do you fear?
mm,
Because if you can do something that you feel super uncomfortable, you don't have to do it daily, but the more you do it, something that instills fear in you and you take that leap, that will cause you to grow
mhm.
in so many different ways. And there was, I can't remember what it is, but there was a show where they were talking about having the gene of like dementia or Alzheimer's or something like that. No one quote me on this,
Yeah.
but to get out of that gene or to change the neural pathways or whatever it was, once again, don't quote me on that.
Mm,
You had to, if the more extreme stuff that you did to get out of your comfort zone, the
mm,
less likely you will have that in your life when you grow old. And it was I'll have to send you a text on it, but I just
mm,
loved watching. It was like a couple shows that I watched, and I was just like, holy moly, that is like super interesting. I would love to learn more about that. But
mm.
it's just that taking that leap, like just that growing, because when we get comfortable, we get soft, right? We're not learning.
Yeah.
We're doing the same thing over and over.
Mhm.
And the more you can keep yourself, young and moving and learning, the better off you'll be
Yeah.
with longevity.
Yeah. Oh, that's so interesting. I
It
love
was
that.
Thor. It was the guy that played Thor.
Ah, of Chris Hemsworth.
That Yes, he is in that show. He is the one that they found, like he did some medical whatever, and he has this hereditary gene or something, and he's like, I want to break free of this gene. So he does some crazy, outrageous stuff
Interesting.
to trick his mind and to put him like very safe, but very out of his comfort zone.
Wow.
And it's just it's amazing to watch. Yeah,
You know
and
what
that's
he
the
should do
that's the
also? He should read Bruce Lipton and Greg Braden because, they talk about the fact that, yes, we have our genes, but it's actually the genes, ha each gene has the capability of producing, I think, is it 20,000 or 200,000 different proteins, which means that
yeah,
that gene doesn't ever have to be activated, right? You
yeah,
you can have all these genes, but you're actually exactly like what you're saying, through your activity, through your, how you actually live your life you can produce such an infinitely amount of proteins together, which actually then nothing has to ever materialize from that. You get
yeah.
to decide.
No,
You get to decide
no.
which proteins you want to create out of those genes. Yeah. So,
Yeah, and I
you know,
don't know if he's read that, but yeah, that is a good thing. I mean, there's just so many ways, like our mind is just amazing, right? And
yeah,
now that we learn more about it and more about it, it's
yeah,
almost like opening up like the not Pandora's box, but the understanding of how we can like control it and
yeah,
manipulate it and
absolutely.
to our benefit, right?
Yes. Our mind is so powerful that I saw this study that they did where people needed knee surgery. And so they took, 100 people and gave 50 of them knee surgery, and the other 50 they just made a scar underneath their knee. They just as if they had a
Thinking that they had
surgery.
the,
Yeah. And they talked to them the same way. They were just like, the first week you're gonna feel like this, and then you're gonna get better. We have doing this rehab, blah, blah, blah. Same spiel to everyone. Guess what? Everyone healed. The
oh my
people that had
gosh.
their surgery, the people that didn't have their surgery, everyone was doing great after 6 months. Why? Because your
No,
mind
that's
was
great.
telling you you were doing better. And the mind kept on telling the knee that, oh, you're fine. You just had surgery. You're gonna heal now, and so on and so forth.
That is
The,
great.
the knee took the information and said, okay, I'm healed. Yeah, well, awesome.
No, that is I have not heard that, but that is just amazing. Like
Yes.
if you can do like a verbal like trick of,
Yes.
to the mind and just say something that can actually fix
Yeah.
something internally, that is just
Yeah. But
wonderful.
here's
I
the
mean,
thing. here's the thing, the mind has to believe it, right? The mind has to believe
Yeah.
it. So for example, you have two people who get cancer, and one person is a oncologist, right? A cancer doctor, right?
Hmm.
The other person is just a random person on the street who doesn't know much about cancer, right? The doctor knows that this is an incurable cancer, right? The other person
Yeah.
doesn't know that, which means the other person can be healed, but not the doctor.
Yeah. No, I
Because
could see that.
that person is so convinced that this is not gonna, I'm never gonna recover. But if your mind thinks, oh, I might, I'll be fine, I'm gonna work through this, then you can heal. It's all in
The
here.
power of positivity, right? It's
Yeah.
like if you're
Power of
thinking
belief.
something,
Yeah.
yeah, and belief as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
And that is like it's so hard because I look back at like some of my friends whose parents who might have passed away
Mm.
because they were in the medical field, but they never got checked. Or
Mm-hmm.
they knew if something were to happen, they
Mm-hmm.
probably wouldn't, be able. And I've had a couple of friends that their parents passed away because of something like that,
Mm-hmm.
knowing
Mm-hmm.
that there really is no way I'm going to get out of this situation
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
not even taking a step
Yeah.
towards trying something new
Mm-hmm.
and trying to see if it works. It was
Mm-hmm.
just in their belief, it was like it's not going to happen.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
No,
See
no,
how
yeah, the
programmed we
mind is
are?
powerful.
Yeah, yeah,
Huh?
yeah. We're so programmed,
Yeah.
we're so programmed.
Yeah.
And it's actually not the truth. Yeah, the truth is that you can pretty much do anything your mind, you just put your mind to, and
No, I agree 100%.
yeah.
Look, I wouldn't be here on your podcast if I didn't change my beliefs.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Like seriously, I like everything that we're talking about. It's so funny. I probably wouldn't even like given that a second thought if I was doing the things that I was doing a year and a half ago.
No, no, you would probably be triggered for if I had said that to you, right? You would have been,
Yeah, no,
yeah.
I'd probably be watching like I don't know, some smut TV and having a glass of wine right about now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm.
I wouldn't be living my purpose, I guess. It's like
Yeah.
the clarity and everything
Yeah.
that has just been instilled in me. So it
Uh-huh.
just, and yeah, and that's the power of the mind, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's
Mm-hmm.
like, who would have thought like that was never a belief or even a glimpse in my future of being where I am now. But
Mm-hmm.
I just decided to make a couple changes. And then it was just like, ta-da! It's like, here you are, Erica.
Yeah. You
I'm with
jumped off
Marie
that
on a
branch.
podcast.
You jumped off the
Right? I
branch.
jumped
You
off that
started with,
branch. I jumped off a bunch of branches. I jumped
yeah,
off the tree.
yes. And you cut down the tree. No, just kidding. You left the tree behind. You
I left
left
the
the
tree.
tree
I
in
left
peace.
the tree behind. I'm
Yeah.
still soaring. I'm still
Yeah.
soaring
Still
free.
soaring. I
No, I
know.
love it. I love
Yeah,
it.
I know.
No, I mean, it's just been a beautiful talk about everything
Yeah.
that we went through because I even took notes because it was so beautiful and like little.
Yeah.
That's just how I am. I'm like a
Yeah.
data person.
Yeah,
Like
agree.
I like to like what we're talking about, write it down and
Hmm.
then kind of take a deep dive into like the thoughts of,
Hmm.
maybe something that you said,
Yeah.
and just expand on that.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we just spent about an hour talking about the human condition. And also
Yeah.
you sort of described it perfectly just a moment ago where it's kind of like we're on this journey, we started our childhood, we go through all these different things. There's all these, wounding trauma, however you want to describe it. Then we get caught in all
Yeah.
these habits, right? Which we're trying to
Yeah.
cover that up. And then at the end of the day, we get to choose and we get to make different decisions, which then the bird can take off, like you just described so
Yeah.
beautifully. And so, sometimes I look at that whole journey that I have gotten to take and you've gotten to take and many other humans as well. And I just feel such reverence for that journey. Like, look at how amazing that is that we had the ability to take this journey. I mean, it was difficult,
Yeah.
it was hard. We cried, we laughed, we had our
Yep.
moments where we had deep depressions. We had moments where we maybe didn't even know if we were gonna stay on this earth, right? And
Yeah.
then you get to a point where you finally decide, I want it to be different. I want to do different. And And
Yeah.
when you start to close that circle and you almost become childlike again, right? You rediscover the things you
Yes.
forgot. You reignite your passions for all the things that you have.
Yeah.
And like if you look at that, like my whole body's vibrating now. Like how beautiful is that that we get to do this?
No, it's beautiful. And I think also even to like the cherry on top of the whipped cream is like
Mm,
when you go down this route and you remove like all the like for me, like a lot of the stuff that happened in my past, I never talked about, right? That is to me shame, shameful, blame, whatever it is. And for me to be able, and probably you, to be able to talk openly about that, to
mm,
make that a norm so other people can see that as well, that, oh my gosh, I'm not the only person that has been this route or have felt that way. That is even more beautiful because it's not only showing our resilience, but that other people that can be resilient as well. And the more we express what we've been through and just the experiences and what we share, just opens the world to people that whether they have the trauma, the beliefs, the behaviors
mm,
to another like maybe I could try something new, right? Maybe I can jump off that branch too.
mhm. Very beautiful.
Yeah.
I love that. Thank you so much
Yeah. You're
for
welcome. You're
sharing your
welcome.
beauty with the world
Oh,
and with me.
thank you. You too. I think it's a beautiful combination,
Mhm.
right? It's a good frequency, good
Yeah,
positive energy.
yeah, totally. We're
And
keeping
for
that up.
everybody to know,
Yeah.
like we're on the other side of the world from
Yes.
each other. Like,
Yes, we are.
right?
Yeah.
Like I got nighttime. It's what time is it here? It is 12:11
Uh-huh.
a.m. and
Uh-huh.
she is on the other side of the world with a beautiful morning to
Yes,
discover.
exactly. It's like 9:11 in the morning here, and it's quite beautiful. The day is starting. This is how all of our
No.
conversations go. I think it's quite beautiful. Yeah.
No, I
Mm.
love it. I love it. And I thank you so much for the opportunity to come
Mm,
on too and
absolutely.
just talk about just a lot of possibilities of just amazing things that
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
what's going on in the world and what people can do to better themselves and just something that they can change the channel. Like they don't
Mm-hmm.
have to be stuck of where they're at, right?
Perfect. Yeah, change the channel. Exactly. I love
Change the
that.
channel. You got
Yeah.
control. Just
Yeah.
we used to call it the clicker.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
That was my grandparents, the
Yeah.
clicker, because it clicked. And then it became the remote.
Yeah.
And then it
Yeah.
became like I don't even know what the hell it's called now.
Uh-huh. Exactly. Yeah.
Just change the
No,
channel.
exactly. But either way, whatever it's called, you're the one who's in
Yeah.
control of it. And you can change the channel. You can change the tune.
Yeah.
You can change the station. You can change the vibration.
Yep.
You can change
Yep.
anything that you want. And that's really,
Yeah.
yeah, that's really key. Understanding that, some people explain it as if you're the director, you're the writer, you're the filmer, you're the videographer, you're the person in
Yeah.
the audience, and you're the actor in your own movie. You have
No,
control.
and yeah, and there's something I want to like just say briefly on that is
Mm,
when people, and this is where I think a lot of people have a just they just don't have the understanding. When you talk about your childhood and your parents were so horrible to you, or your employer, or your friend, or your this, all that stuff that you've gone through, and you become a victim,
mm,
that right there, you have just lost your power. You have given that power to those people. And that is also like changing the channel to get your power back. And it's like things can happen, but you are the person that is going, you can't change the past, but you are the person that can be present and change your future of changing that channel. And I think that is just, I wanted to leave on that note because I feel like I hear a lot of that within society of, I'm damaged because of this or this happened to me. And yes, there is some horrific stuff that happens to people that is out of their control. I've
mhm,
had a lot of that happen to me,
mm,
but it's like until you really embrace like being able to like go, okay, that happened. I need to move. I need to change the channel. I need to move forward. I need my power back.
Mm,
And that's where you gain that energy and that high frequency of jumping off that branch and to take control of your life
mm,
on so many different levels.
mm,
So I just wanted to elaborate on that because I think that's just extremely important. There's some things that people have said lately, and I was just like, ah, but you do have the power,
mhm, mhm.
right?
I got the power.
I
Remember that
got the
song?
power. Ooh. Oh yeah, I'm singing it right now. I got the power. I'll go to bed tonight. I got the power. No.
Oh my God.
Anyways,
Sorry for making it
no.
silly because you made such a beautiful
Huh? No, I love
explanation
it. I love
there.
it. That's the other side of me is
Yeah.
silliness, right? I don't think if we didn't end on a silly note,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, it wouldn't be right.
Exactly. All of a sudden the vibration is high and beautiful. Yeah. Yeah, I love
That's right.
that.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Thank you so much, Erica, and I appreciate
Awesome.
your final words. They're super
Yeah.
helpful, and they can be triggering. But even
Yeah.
in the victimhood, it has its own merit. But eventually, you need to start to f walk forward to your own power again. And I agree with you 100.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Get your sparkle back. You got to
get your
have your sparkle,
sparkle back. Yeah, exactly.
right?
All right.
No.
Thank you so
All right. Well,
much.
you have a beautiful day and thank you so much. And love to you. Like, enjoy your day.
Yeah. Enjoy your sleep.
I will. I will. Thank you, my dear.
Take care.